This world might be full of entitled parents, but us Voicey veterans have sworn an oath as a brotherhood to never give up fighting the good fight. If you see a neighbor accused of being selfish just for wanting to keep their own stuff, be ready to help those in need with stock images in hand. Today's fan-submitted story, paging Dr. Entitled Mother. Oh wait, this entitled mother isn't a doctor, and yet she has very strong opinions about this girl's health and what she needs to be okay, without having a clue. It starts out feeling like a fairy tale, an excited girl, a special party, and a beautiful dress and shoes. But instead of a wicked stepmother, this girl's mean aunt steps in to try and ruin her night. What terrible thing does this aunt do? You'll only find out by watching this episode of VoiceyHere's Entitled Parents. This fan-submitted story was called Entitled Mum Decided That I Don't Belong in My Workplace and Tries to Steal the One Thing Keeping Me from Coughing Up a Lung. So I'm the only girl in an auto collision class at a technical college. I also have extreme asthma, so I often have to wear a dust mask and take an inhaler every half hour to make sure that I don't have an asthma attack and I have to go to hospital. At the school, sometimes the other teachers will come down and ask us to detail their cars for them. And we often do, since going into an automotive field, you'll start as a detailer, and we need to constantly stay on top of our game for it. On this day, I saw a woman who I think worked in the office with her kid come in, while I was working on sanding the paint off a cart that needed to be repainted. It was really old and looked really trashy, had to sand it and remove the wheels. The kid looked 13-ish. I thought at first that maybe he was a middle school kid coming to check out the class to see if he wanted to join. But when I overheard his mum talking to my teacher about washing her car, I got up to over here because I'm extremely nosy, and I noticed that the kid seemed to be a bit bothered by the dust. A lot of people were sanding that day, and I knew the dust bugged me, so I figured someone who wasn't so used to it was going to have trouble. I went to the tool room where we keep the dust masks, and I found a disposable one. Note, I had a thicker mask that day, as I couldn't afford some of our disposable ones a few days ago, and didn't want to waste the really nice one I had just found. I found the disposable ones this time though. I brought him the mask, handing it to him, and taking mine off so that I could talk to him and be more polite. Here, you look like you could use this. The kid takes the mask and slips it on. Thanks, the dust is really thick here. I nod. Yeah, I know. If you're not used to it, it'll bug you. Still bugs me. We both chuckled a bit when the entitled mum saw me as my teacher walked away to add her to our schedule. And she gave me this weird disgusted look, seeing my dusty clothes. Young lady, where can my son get that uniform? I don't want his clothes to get dirty while we're here. I was thinking she was confused. Oh, sorry, this is my uniform. Your son will have to get one when he joins the class. Why do you have a uniform like that? Shouldn't you be wearing scrubs or something? What do you mean? You're a girl. There aren't any other girls here. Shouldn't you be in the nursing program or the child development program? I'm used to people thinking I belong in those programs until they see me in uniform, or people in general thinking I should work with kids, so this doesn't bother me. Oh, sorry ma'am, but no, I work here in the shop. There are other girls in the afternoon class though. There was a morning and afternoon class, and the afternoon class had 4 girls in it, I think. I'll bet you don't know anything about cars. I'll bet you only joined this class to flaunt around your seductive clothes to these innocent boys. I'll have you know, I'm probably the most conservative here, mostly because I am a girl. I change in the tool room, since there isn't a girl's locker room, and I always wear my work clothes over top my regular clothes. I'm also wearing the exact same thing as the guys, as my clothes are men's clothes, and there is nothing seductive about them in any way. Ma'am, 1, I have a boyfriend, and I really don't need to attract the attention of these men. 2, even if I were to only be here for the men, I would have been kicked out a long time ago, because I'd be too focused on getting a man, rather than the multitude of tests we have to take on a bi-weekly basis, and the hard work that we do here. 3, I don't know who you think you are coming in here and talking to me like that, but I would appreciate it if you wouldn't treat me this way, as I'm aware that when your car comes through us to be cleaned, I'll be a part of the group, cleaning your car. She was now red in the face. Absolutely not. I will not have some bimbo trying to seduce these poor boys into doing disgusting things inside of my family car. You're scarring my son. You need to leave. I rolled my eyes and decided to just leave her alone to get back to my work, putting my mask back on. A few minutes later, my teacher still hadn't gotten back to her as he was pulled away by some of the other students, so she came back over to interrogate me some more. I had been taking this cart apart so we could paint it better, as an extension cord was attached to it, and we couldn't paint that. What do you think you're doing? I was mildly annoyed, but keeping my cool. I'm using a screwdriver to the hooks holding the extension cord to this cart so we can paint it. Let Kay do it. He knows how to work his way around tools. Kay looked embarrassed, and he was shaking his head. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. I have lots of work to do, and the hooks are a little weird to get off. The entitled mum wasn't having it. Take off that stupid mask when you speak to me. Why are you even wearing it? Trying to lure my son in so he feels more welcomed into your little world because you're both wearing masks? I was really annoyed now. No, I'm wearing the mask because the dust bothers my asthma. I saw that the dust was bothering your son too, so I gave him one. I then pulled my asthma inhaler to show her because I thought it might keep her from going full entitled parent. Big mistake. Put that thing away. Now you're trying to pull him in with drugs. I quickly put it away, but she wasn't done. And if the dust is so bad, you should give my son your mask. He obviously needs it more than you do. You're probably faking it for attention and drugs. Now my mask was much thicker and was really helping me. Her son was clearly fine with the one I gave him, and I knew he was just going to throw it away when he left, which is what those masks were for. I'm sorry, but I really need this mask to keep the dust out of my lungs. Your son seems fine with the one I gave him. No, he has far worse asthma than you could imagine. He needs that mask. Well, I'm sorry, but these masks aren't disposable like the ones I gave your son. I need to use mine for a long while. He'll only need his until you leave. I don't care. Give me your mask and get out of this garage, or else I'll tell your teacher that you are harassing my son. At this point, I'm pretty mad, but I would never lose my temper in the workplace. We have cameras all over the place, and the guys were looking over as the woman lost her mind on me. Teacher could also see through the window of our separate classroom, though he wasn't looking at the minute, as he was talking to another student. Go tell him if you really want to. I wasn't afraid of her accusations, and crossed my arms at her, but the guys weren't having it, and they started coming over. Guy 1 comes over looking ready to fight. Why don't you get the heck out of here before we tell him how you're harassing her? She has more of a right to be here than you do. How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know who I am? Yeah, you're the lady who came to ask us for a favor that we don't have to do, and probably aren't going to because of the way you're treating one of our hardest workers. Wait until your teacher hears about this. You will all be removed from this school for assault and harassment. The teacher comes out of the classroom. Entitled Mum, you need to leave. We won't be doing this service for you. Entitled Mum was already formulating her lies. Your little floozy of a student was harassing my son. I want her removed from this school, and the police called on her at once. And I want them, points to the guys trying to help, to be arrested for assaulting me and threatening my son. I don't think that's going to happen, as I sat there and watched you come over and bother my students while they were working. We're not going to be washing your car, and I would appreciate it if you left and wouldn't come back to my shop. Entitled Mum threw a fit, but she grabbed Kid by the wrist and dragged him out, but not before ripping my dust mask off, taking an air hose that I had been using to blow the dust off when I sand and blew a whole bunch of frickin' dust into my face. I ended up needing to step out of the shop and sit in the classroom for the rest of the time so that I could get my asthma back under control, as I couldn't stop coughing. And I had red marks on the side of my face from where she took my mask, and the elastic strap snapped on my face. Now if I ever go near Entitled Mum's class, I make sure I'm not alone, as I'm a little nervous she'd try something, and I'm really bad at confrontation. And that class is why we never go outside. There's too many entitled parents there. Stay inside and play video games where it's safe. This story was called Entitled Aunt Ruins My First Cruise Trip. So I'm venting about something she did a very long time ago, when I was 18. On with the story. My family was part of a 3-generation cruise. My grandparents, dad's siblings, and their partners, and then the grandchildren. To celebrate my grandparents' 50th anniversary. Now, it was an okay cruise. They served drinks, had good food, and we got to go to exotic Mexico, which was neat I guess, but it was long, 2 full weeks. The problem arose about me. See, out of my family, I was kind of the odd one out on account of my age. I was too old for the children's activities or the teens' activities, as they set the age limit for those things on the cruise at 16, and I was too young to enjoy any adult activities, as the 21-year-old age limit kept me separate. So I kinda got stuck just going between the pool or jacuzzi for the times we were at sea. Offshore it was all family time the entire time, so I was okay then. But we were at sea for almost an entire week, and yeah, it got boring. It was my grandma who would invite me to little things, like ladies' day at the spa, or try with my mum to sneak me into adult things like bingo one time. We failed, but tried. And Grandma was the one who found the one night where they opened the dancing club for those people between the ages of 17 and 20. Grandma and Grandpa bought me a ticket because they knew how bored I was too. So being that I spent the majority of the cruise bored, I agreed during the unpredictable times to watch my younger sister and my younger cousins. I'm the oldest. It mainly entailed my youngest cousin, who I will refer to as Cuz. She was like 7 during this, so most times it involved escorting her to the children's play activities or areas, or just watching her in the pool or spa. Not a big deal, as I would take a book and read while she played. Bad idea, as her mum is the entitled parent in this post. Anyway, the night and morning before the big dance club room bash for teens, I made my entire family aware that I was going to the 17+ party. I was super excited, and even got my mum and aunt involved in a little beautifying, aka nails done at the salon. I saw Entitled Aunt there, and told her how excited I was to go to the 17 to 20 party after dinner. She acknowledged me, even saying she might see me around the club area then. I was a little confused about that, because I wasn't sure who would watch the baby Cuz, but I shrugged it off naively. Cue 8:30 PM, and I got dressed to the nines. My excitement at having some sort of cruise devoted to the 17-20 crowd must have rubbed off on my sister, cause she helped me get ready, and I go out dressed to kill in a nice party dress that was actually my captain dinner dress reversed, cause it was able to swap and be worn both ways, and in heels. She did my hair and makeup, and I'm out of the door ready to go out with my friends I made at the poolside, whom were also bored. As I'm walking to the elevator, out pops the entitled aunt with Cuz in tow. I smile at my aunt and move a bit to the side to let her pass, thinking she's heading to see my sister in our room. But she stops in front of me. Then we had this conversation. So, I need you to watch your Cuz. Your uncle and I are going to have dinner and a show at 9. We won't be back until like 11? I blink silently at her in confusion. I can't. I'm going to the 17+ party. I show Entitled Aunt the ticket Grandma bought. No, you're not. I already told your dad you're watching Cuz now. I'm leaving. Then just shoves Cuz in my direction and leaves. I was trying not to cry. Aunt, I can't. I already said this morning I'm going to the 17 to 20-year-old event. It's the only one they're having this week. Entitled Aunt spins around and jabs her finger in my face. You're doing what I say because you can't go anymore. She yanks the ticket out of my hand. Naively I was still holding it, and rips it up while I stare horrified, before stomping away. I stare at the pieces of my tickets and with Cuz's help, pick them up. Cuz is silent because I don't think she understood what happened or why. I kept the tears in as I walked slowly back to our rooms. On the way, the door next to my sister and mine opens, and out pops my dad's older sister, Nice Aunt. She looks at me confused and asked what I'm doing with Cuz. I ask her to take Cuz to my sister, and she ushers me into her cabin. Once Cuz is out of sight, I break down crying while hugging my ticket pieces to my chest. It was not a pleasant cry in the least, and I just sob and sob. My aunt came back and saw me crying while holding the pieces, and put 2 and 2 together. She got my mum, who worked to calm me down, before grabbing my dad and grandmother. All 3 broke into entitled aunt's date night and blasted them in front of whomever was around. Apparently, it was a nasty scene. My grandma then made my uncle fork over the money for the ticket, times 2, which turned out to be $150, and gave it to my dad to take me out shopping the next time we entered port. Needless to say, my immediate family avoided my aunt and uncle for the remainder of the trip, and my nice aunt wouldn't even acknowledge their presence for almost a year. I've been spoiled on cruises for a while because of this, and I refused to do 2 more when I was invited to, even after turning 21. Kaz and her brother still have a relationship with the family, but at this point, entitled aunt and entitled uncle are specifically not invited to immediate family things. We, my immediate family, kept things cool while my grandparents were alive, but now that both are gone, Dad has nothing holding him back, and he will tell both off when necessary. He no longer holds back, and apparently neither do I, as I am now writing these posts to share. Sorry to Kaz and her brother. Your mum is an entitled witch. Such an awkward age around that time when you're not quite a kid anymore for the kid things, but you can't really do the adult things either. And it's so easy to get bored at that age too, especially when you'd be on a cruise and everyone is having fun doing something. I don't know how you felt in this story, but I just got more and more angry because our hero did like everything right. Let everybody know that they were going to the party, they weren't free then. The entitled aunt could do something fun any other night of the week. So to just drop a small dependent child in front of someone and be like, okay, see ya. Because what do? You can't just abandon the child. What if something happens to them? And she knows that, that's why she did it. It's just, I don't know, is evil too strong of a word? Really jerk-facey. Yeah, she was a real jerk face. People seem to be really torn about their experience on cruise ships. Either they have the best time of their life or the worst time. They're having fun doing lots of activities, eating heaps of food, or they're just sick the whole time, stuck in their cabin. Have you ever been on a cruise? What was your experience like? Let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like your story to be narrated by me, don't forget to visit the subreddit r/VoiceyHere, link below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.